Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? BTC USD, an update. Yeah, so how are we looking? Well, this is the recent history. So remember, we're in a rally from a very close to previous lows upside break. We were in a rising wedge that we popped out the top and then broke down. We had our return move. What has happened subsequently is actually reasonably bullish. So we had an exhaustive high around here. That's not too high to be a risk for a double top, but is high enough to be a good secondary impulse. You can see I've done a wedge. It's quite a busy chart, this actually, so you've got to get used to the fact that we actually draw. So let's maybe magnify this zone now, because you know the context of where we're speaking. It's on the 2-hour time frame that we're looking. So this leg is a rising wedge that we'd modeled on our premium side with our guys. So we were expecting a little bit of a dip sell-off, and that came. But this is a good high, so we were biasing now for the likelihood of upside continuation. For this time frame, remember, for this time frame, which is a recovery rally trend from the lows. So in essence, for those, most people make money in the bull markets, not so good on the short side. We got a webinar coming on that, by the way. You can attend for free on May the 17th for those that are serious about potentially becoming part of a community where we do exactly that. You will see it on May the 17th. Go to themarketsniper.com. Anyway, with that RH2 already in, we have a sell-off here with a decent pushback rally and another sell-off. So there is what I would call a considered retreat and far from a capitulation. And that's exactly what we needed after quite a strong punching ourselves out. So if I were allowed to draw a line here, let's make it green because it's a slightly more optimistic line. You might think, wow, why is that optimistic? It's going down. I'll show you in a second. There is a structure to it, which is what we call falling wedge after just having rising wedge. And it's often that you get these parts and components to price behavior. In other words, they roll from one kind of structure into another. There's only a certain number of ways that markets go up and down. Ignore this line. This is a long-standing trend line. Maybe we can delete it. Let's see if I make it go away. There you go. So this is what I call a tactical supportive retreat. It's far from capitulation. There's short periods of capitulation with pushback rally, short period of capitulation with pushback rally. In fact, we've just had a hammer now with a bit of a pushback rally right now. So that means while there is some distribution going on, because clearly the price is going down from the highs of up top here at 9.5, it's far from a cut and run. This is not complete cut and run. This is what we call a tactical and an absorbing retreat. So the people are still prepared to buy any form of dips, and the sellers are far from overwhelming the bid stack. So this is just the natural ebb and flow of the tides, and is actually underlyingly quite bullish, because it's not threatening to run either the low one area here or make a particularly aggressive low two. I was hoping for an opportunity to top up on Bitcoin in and around the key level of significance of 9,000. This falling wedge is so benign that it may not even do that. So we might go back up here. Sometimes, however, with a falling wedge, you can get a final little capitulation sell-off, and then the buyers pump in again. So it may have a chance, orders for those that want to get in just above 9,000. You might get the rally up to here, and then you have another little period of selling off and a rally. If you get a third, you might just have a chance on a spill out the bottom wick, kind of like that hammer, but just a little bit later on. But the probability, I would say, is that you're not going to get filled at the 9,000 because of the nature of this. However, sometimes, as I say, you might get lucky. So there can be nibbling here. The nice part about this is that it's a reasonable way to come out of a falling wedge. One of the, and some of the people have noted in the comments, you know, I've been cautious, and I believe caution is the right thing. The key thing is not to become too overcommitted and give your full mindset to one overarching view. The minute you give up your mental neutrality and you go, yeah, it's back to full-blown bull, we've gone, you know, you're entirely binary. Oh my God, this is a terrible market, it's a bear market, to, oh my God, this is, we're back to the full-blown bull. What you actually end up is you get a bit of schizophrenic emotionality attached to those kind of mental postures. It's not good for you. stay open when you're in these indifferent spells as to whether, how long will this rally be? Is it going to take out? And that just is worth pointing out. There is a level, so we do this. It's all rational. You're going to be late to reversals in the methodology that we trade, and that's okay. Other people can second guess and jump in ahead, and it's broadly, in my view, a costly thing to do in the long run. You can be right a few times. You only need to be wrong once with a major spill, and you can get properly taken out. So at this level, round about here at the 11,600, 5,000s to the 800s level, it would be nice to properly break even that high. You've then undone the negativity of two successive sell-offs. So far, the momentum up here was not too convincing. Despite this pump here, we've had successives. We've had a pop out the top. However, this wind up could push you up to this level of target, so that would be back above the 10,000. I've put the 10,000 there in the blue line for Bitcoin, and that will be encouraging, but it still doesn't mean the risk of the downside continuation. This is where that fib comes from, and we're just going to move it again to the high ground, and the high ground was very high. You still got to remember, we are tapping in and around still the ground floor, the ceiling of the ground floor, getting into the first level of what is a 5-level building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my apologies, 6 on your fib market. I can't even remember how many fib levels there are. So you're just getting into the first level. You still have a number of levels to meet from the previous high. So you do not go binary from bear straight to 100% bull. You get consolidation, you get churn, and this is the unfortunate period that we're a little bit in. Yes, the market is currently going up, but don't be a yay boo boy that just is about the current move. You've got to be looking at what the bigger time frame patterns are suggesting may still come. Shorter time frame, when we're looking at the H2, there is the likelihood of a push higher and getting above, and this was meant to be exactly on the 10,000 mark. It's a bit difficult to get exact. This will probably mean a move through the 10,000. Even in the event of this being run, you haven't ruled out the possibility of then a very rude awakening, abrupt sell-off that can turn into an inverted HVF. And I keep warning on this. I'm very unpopular, and people leave lots of comments. Oh, you're wrong about this and wrong about that. It's not about being right or wrong now. Everybody's a bull right now because it's going up. That's okay, but they're just chasing the current momentum. The overall structure of where we are has some degree of indication of what may occur, because it is patterns are even more relevant on bigger time frames than the smaller time frames in terms of which direction the tide is going. So with this marginal grinding climb, the pop out the top and all of this, it is what I'd call a moderate only rally from what was very close to being the extreme lows, in spite of that pump. But you probably had a high degree of overselling on a lot of areas. This has meant alts have been particularly well served while Bitcoin recovers. So generally the alts need Bitcoin not to be falling and dying. Then they can overperform because they were even more oversold as a result of the bear market. And so the alts have served many people exceedingly well. We've got a number of guys in our community that have taken thousands of % on EOS. I haven't been one of them, because I'm playing quite an active defense, so I've had quite a high percentage of fiat, but I've picked off little moves on WAN and Tron and a few others for good quality nature of setups, and I've got a small amount of BTC, but I've kept quite a bit of my powder dry, just on account of there's no saying how high this measured move may go. At this point, it looks like a 10,255 would be the next level where we could churn. It could sell off rudely from there and be an abrupt awakening for us and sell down and highly capitulatively. There's no saying what may go in, or it may then just churn for a while, set up further continuation and move up to challenge the key levels that we need to see retaken. We need to get in the green zone. That is between the 38.2 and the 50%. And that is a natural level for which you can start to say a bear rally is over. A 38.2% bounce after this 100% sell-off, and remember, this is right up at the 20,000 levels. A 38.2 can still be a bear trend, and that was our 38.2, and you noted how it sold off again. So we need to get past the 38.2 and approaching the 50% level. That is when you've taken half what you've given up back. That is a more measured, by traditional technical analysis, reason to think that there is possibility for the trend change. So nothing more than a 38.2% rally. You can still be nothing more than a rally. And at this point, we're only really at the 23.6% level of the overall correction. We've got to also remember that on the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, crypto is a macro bull. In spite of this negativity of 20,000 down to the lower part of 6,073, which we picked with an inverted, these inverted here and that inverted there, that gave us that low, and that's on YouTube. We said that'll be a key low, and you would probably get a bounce at that point, and you certainly did, although it wasn't necessarily the end of the bear trend. So by doing this, I'm hoping just to give you context, a little bit more context about what we do. There's a rationale and there's a level at which we flick. It's not determined emotionally, and we don't chase the current momentum and keep vacillating between bull, bear, etc. So the big time frame patterns matter. Okay, enough on that. So Bitcoin is short term looking good for 10,250 if it continues to do the pattern that we expect. That's turning into quite a good hammer, as you can see there. You may break out of this wedge even earlier. You may just get one more revisit and pop. You could go all the way out just from here. I would prefer to see for the bull case. I'm not a bear nor a bull. I don't want crypto to die. Don't get me wrong. People think by being cautious that I'm now an emotional hater. I'm not interested in being emotionally invested in this. I believe cryptos are going to expand overall. The macro trend is one of expansion. And let me rephrase that. I don't believe it. I assess it from the charts. Even that itself can be undone, but it would have to take a large sustained bear and giving it all back over many years. So our super macro time frame is underlyingly bullish. So this is likely to hopefully come around these levels, but maybe just those levels. We'll see. There might be a wick sell. That means you want to be looking at your alts. So we've had some success on a number of alts in the small sensors. So here's on a shorter time frame. Tron gave very good structure, gave a target there, number of windups on the way, then ran the target. You see you get your biggest, most severe proper sell-off here, wind up again, and target made again. So that's given us a little bit of happiness and joy. We had the same with WAN. We got really tight with this one. Because it had a primer. You'll learn about what a primer is on a program and how we exploit it. WAN, from our accelerator in Vegas. I've been off the air for a bit because we were doing both our theory weekend and a new program that we have for our elite HVF traders, and this has turned out fabulously as well, and we put that one in the bag, and we've done nicely on that. There's been a number of the other alts within the community where the guys have been slightly more aggressive. As I say, I don't give advice. I'm not qualified or regulated to do so. I show you what I do, and I've particularly emphasized defense. There's been a number of big setups. Now my premium guys are going to find out all the super macro bull setups that we are excited about. All the super macro bull. I'm doing it tonight, premium interview, and we have a number. If BTC continues a sustained recovery or even just holds its own without any major capitulative sells off, it can grind a little down, it can churn a little bit, it can set up continuations, pump, and then just set up more continuations and just rest, but doesn't have to do anything magical. There are certain alts that are on a macro level potential long-term, and I don't use the phrase hodl, but longer term holds on big time HVFs, and not one but a few, and I'm going to be going over those with my guys on premium tonight, and I'm looking really forward to that. On the basis that BTC holds its own, those will continue to move. But even in macro HVFs, you will have interims and you'll have stall periods. It's going to be You can't get emotional about it. You've got to ride and stay with the trade with the time frame under review. And we have, I think, about 4 or 5 at least that we should be core holdings on the medium long time frame on crypto's ongoing recovery if that continues, and that will have pullbacks if it doesn't continue. So that's that's the news. You can find out more about becoming part of the community on themarketsniper.com. Get started. It's not for everybody. It's for resourced people that are serious about growing their wealth through crypto trading, and it is not about purely a trade feed. You will learn a skill. It's about learning the skill to assess the market and to make the portfolio and trade and active investor type decisions that someone who has some means may wish to do. Okay, thank you for your comments, and remember, we're going to be late to bull calls and reversals. We want to be early to continuation, and in the event of continuation here, I would start to suggest even from as high up as the 9,150 levels, BTC might become a buy for a nice move up to 10,250, and other alts, which we'll be watching and discussing tonight, can outperform that for now. So fairly sunny skies over crypto land at the moment. That's my take. I hope you enjoy the video.